Hello, everybody, and happy Sunday. Welcome to Unsealed. And of course, I am Kate Dillon from Crate Insider and a few other things. And I'm here today with Steve Hendren from Hendren Racing Engines. Now, we haven't done intros in a little while. So, for anybody who's new to the podcast or new to the show, tell us a little bit about Hendren Racing Engines, what you guys do, kind of how you started. What's your story?
Obviously we build crate engines, which is our primary business. My dad is the one that started the business in California. We moved out here to North Carolina and been going ever since.
Yeah, so you guys have been in this business for like a really long time.
Yeah, we primarily built open motors years ago, and then Dad just kind of saw the trend going towards crate racing, and so we started on those in, 2005, I think.
Okay. Yeah, kind of like when they really, within that first year when they really started.
Yeah, it would have been, probably close to the second year when they started becoming popular.
Gotcha. Cool deal. Well, we got a bunch of people here. I am about to see if I can see some comments here. Otherwise, I actually kind of have a little stockpile. I got my little note cards right here. I've been all preparing for the show. I've got questions from viewers from a couple different places. I see Scott's here. He says, hi from California. Why is it that Donald Duck wore no pants, yet nobody got offended? Asking for a friend. Huh. That's interesting.
That's a good question.
That is interesting. Yeah. Russ says hey, and Christopher says he's back. Well, great. And anytime you guys feel free to drop in any comments, and if you have any questions, drop those in too. We are more than happy to answer any questions you have. I see Jim is here and Johnny's here from Augusta, Georgia. So do you want to tell me how your week was?
Insane.
Okay.
I will continue saying that here for probably another 10 weeks minimum.
Yeah, because you guys are about 10 weeks out right now, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're
having a serious part shortage on everything right now, and it's got us so far behind. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, and that's what I kind of thought that was also just a contributing factor. Just besides the fact that there's, a whole shop full of engines, that there's also the fact that you're having a difficult time getting parts. And I will say that, we're not alone. We're not alone in the racing industry. I'm currently...
Well, it's becoming like the gun industry, to be honest with you, because everybody's, I don't know, everybody's buying everything right now. I don't know if it's like, well, they've got the money, they're going to be buying stuff. But it's just got everybody behind, everybody short on parts, kind of like trying to buy ammo right now. So.
Well, I think we also had that whole supply chain thing with that I've been talking about for months. Yeah. And, anytime we put a stop to it, it's interesting because it's like the things in business. And I learned this a long time ago, like when talking about sales, I learned this a long time ago, and I've just continued to, it's my mantra, but what we do today is going to affect our business 30, 60, 90 days down the road. So it's not always instant, so something that happened, several months ago is now, really affecting us, with all those containers. There could be all these containers that are locked up at the ports. Well, you were talking to FedEx Express and they were telling you that with all the winter storm things that were going on, it, by putting that stop, even for a couple of days, talk about what happened there.
They were having, they said that they had 90 containers at Charlotte Airport that they still had to unload. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I see. I've got some other folks have some comments on this too. Let's see. Well, and some of them are just saying hi. So we've got Susie Bowman, Gary and Susie, saying, hey, Steve and Kate. Christopher says he was kicked off Facebook for 30 days. So, you did a tour.
Facebook jail.
You did a 30-day tour. I'm adding that because I saw somebody else was like, just got done with my second 30-day tour of Facebook jail. Roy says, hey, guys, in Wyoming today, Steve Lyle Hopper told me an alcohol cart story.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad Roy's here. In fact, if you like hearing me say words, because it's what I do, I'm actually going to be on Roy's show on Thursday, and it's going to be 10 o'clock my time. If you want to join, you can. But I know how you are. You're like a pumpkin. So.
Yeah, Lyle bought a drink cart at NASCAR Awards Banquet in Nashville one year.
Oh.
And I got into it.
Is this the tequila?
This is what ruined me for tequila for my entire life.
Cash says hello, and he says it's because we had a shutdown and paid people, well to stay home. I mean, completely agree. I mean, labor is definitely an issue. I'm definitely hearing that from lots of manufacturers where they just can't get help. I mean, they're so busy, and the work is stacking up, and there's just only so much any one person can do, no matter how big your team is. Roy says, any news or updates on getting a 602, 604 from Chevy? Tried to order one on Friday and was told it would be April or mid-May.
604s, at least. 602s will be getting scarce here before long if they're not already.
It sounds like they're getting a little scarce there. Corey has a question. He says, question for Steve. Has GM figured out their issues with the 525s?
Yes.
Yeah. And in fact, I've done a video on that with Don Blackshear and showing off the difference in the pistons between what the old piston was.
Yeah, the rod was never...
Or not the pistons, the rods.
The rod was never a failure point. The failure point was the piston and the rod bolts. So they changed those. Went to a forged piston, went to a ARP rod bolt. And knock on wood... so far, we haven't had any explodey issues with them. That's
good. Roy says, Lyle Hopper is a great sponsor of mine. So, thank you, Lyle, for being such a great supporter. I'm just going to go ahead and say that because I want to value all sponsors that are out there, for sure.
Don't thank Lyle too much. You'll give him a big head.
Well, I actually want to talk about this. Actually, this is something that came up this week. There was somebody on Instagram, and... they were, they were sharing some stuff and they were commenting on our posts and things. And they were like, hey, they reached out in a direct message. I don't usually, I get lots of direct messages, but they were like, hey, we'd like to feature Crate Insider, where we do like the esports. And I said, okay, well, how much? Because, well, no, it's free. I mean, if it's free. We just want to do it because we think you guys are doing a good job. And then he was like, man, but if you did want to sponsor, it would be like $20. So I was like, I will give you $20, Yeah. So what happens the next day or 2 days after? So the guy designs the car and everything, and got him my $20, and then all of a sudden I get this email message. Somebody's like, hey, we're such and such esports and putting on these races, and we think it'd be great for you to partner with us and sponsor us. And I was like, hey, just out of curiosity, what made you pick my company? Well, it looks like you're doing something, blah blah blah. But then, because I saw you sponsored such and such.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just a good lesson to not just because somebody's sponsored, don't go after them. Go find your own. Be creative. Be creative. Okay. Christopher does not have glowing things to say about Biden. I won't repeat because I don't want to be like Christopher and spend the next 30 days in Facebook jail. Ken is here saying hello. Hello. So yeah, thank you all for being here. We have a lot of fun here. Okay, so I've got some questions for you today, Steve. We're going to run the gauntlet.
All right.
Okay, so something we talked about, I don't know when we talked about it or if we've talked about it multiple times, but we talked about gear oil. Mm-hmm. And one thing we were talking about specifically is like that Daytona one, the 3060 gear lube. It's our favorite. And you were saying that, you just filter your gear lube and you put it back in. Mm-hmm. So a question from YouTube, this is from Dream Shop, says, so what is it that you use to filter your gear oil?
Just a paint and strainer works fine.
A paint strainer?
It doesn't have to be anything super creative.
Now
you're just trying to make sure you not get any dirt in the back in the rear end.
Now I did learn a trick. I love talking about Race Logic chassis schools. I did learn a trick that if you've got some of those extra surgical masks laying around, Ben Baker says they work great as strainers.
Yeah.
So that's the question. But good, just like a paint filter. Well, I mean, we don't need to go there. We don't need to get kicked off. We don't need to get kicked off Facebook or YouTube or anything else.
Facebook.
But hey, it's a good way to recycle it because it's disposable and good way to recycle it. So you can stock them up and
give your rear end the coronavirus.
I don't even. Oh, that's too funny. Okay, I've got a couple of questions on pretty much the same topic. One of them, and we're going to talk about break-in for a minute. So the first question, I'm going to go ahead and give you both. That way you can go with both. So number one, is there a motor break-in recommendation to go by for a 602? That's from Dylan. And then secondly, what break-in oil do you recommend for the 602? And that's from More Racing 38 on YouTube.
I mean, no specific break-in oil. There's several good ones out there. The Daytona 1 being one. That Z-Max, I've tried it. It's a good break-in oil.
Mm-hmm. So we've got both of those.
So several other brands out there that are, you know, I mean, is a good break-in oil. As far as like getting the engine broke in, you know, obviously it's flat tappet cam, hydraulic lifter motor. So when you start it up, you know, you want it running for about 20 minutes, vary the RPM, don't let it idle. That'll break in the cam. And then after that, as far as the seat and the rings, that can't be done until the engine's actually loaded. So either on a dyno or on a racetrack.
Well, I think something that's interesting as well, because we've talked to Buck from Daytona when we've talked to him about his break-in oil. And one thing that's interesting about it is that you can not only break in your engine that way, but you could run like your first 3 races with that break-in oil. Yeah, with that break-in oil in your engine, and because it's break-in and racing oil. Yeah. But I think one important thing that we should definitely just throw out there is the most important thing is that you don't want to be using a full synthetic oil until your engine is broken in. So make sure that you're using something that's it doesn't, you know, for a long time we didn't used to have break-in oils.
No.
I mean, we didn't, you know, CrateInsider didn't sell them. You didn't recommend them, but now we've come across these 2 that are really good. The Daytona 1 and the Z-Max.
It's essentially your super high zinc,
yeah. Content. Yeah, so those are good. Okay, I also have here, let's talk about anti-reversion mufflers for a minute. Mm-hmm. Of course, we talk about those a lot also just because they're one of our most popular products. This is from YouTube. The person asking is named 5-Star, and he says, isn't this a Band-Aid for a collector that is too large to begin with?
No.
Okay, well, that was a simple answer.
Yeah, I don't know how else to put it.
I mean, that's kind of a leading question. It's almost like accusing like the headers being designed or the collectors being designed incorrectly. Yeah. But that's not what it is.
No, it takes a great header and makes it better.
Great. That's a great way to put that. And that's how I'm going to answer him.
Yeah, I mean.
You know.
Yeah, so.
Perfect. Okay, another one on one of our most popular products, talking about our flat air filter base. Now, when you change to a flat air filter base, do you need to change carb jets?
I haven't found it to be the case. Mm-mm.
Not an issue.
No. Okay. No, I mean, you gotta pretty much, you gotta make a significant change to justify changing jets, so. I mean, we don't even hardly even change jets anymore. Mike does everything with air bleeds and everything else. So.
Well, and I think something to talk about too with it, I get this question quite a bit, so let's go ahead and throw that out there, is that with our air filter base, it is really meant for a 4-barrel carburetor, and it doesn't do much for a 2-barrel carburetor.
Yeah, and it doesn't do much for an old style center section.
Oh, okay.
So,
good to
know.
Like
the billet center sections, it goes hand in hand with the billet style center section. The old HP style stuff or anything with a choke horn, it really doesn't do a whole lot.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I know. We need to have. I really need a 2-barrel carburetor air filter base. I really need one.
Yeah, we talked about getting one made.
Well, I know I had a prototype made, but my idea sucked, so it didn't work.
Yeah.
It's part of that whole.
Sometimes you come up with shit and it sucks. I mean,
it seemed like it was a good idea. I mean, like
part of the game.
You know, when you logically think about it, I mean, of course, I am not an airflow, air fuel engineer, but they're just, sometimes. It's just like the most obvious things, and you're like, well, a child could have thought of that.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm pretty much like a child as far as that goes. Yeah. All right. Okay, you guys drop in some questions. They did not need to be submitted.
Or don't, we can cut off of here early.
You slacker. You're only like halfway through your beer. So what are you drinking today?
It's just Ultra.
Okay. Rocking your Rock and Randall mug there.
Yep.
Chilling with Rock and Randall. I miss Rock and Randall. He's he performs in this area, lives in South Carolina, and he also spends like half the year in Florida. And I think he's on his way to go to Florida here pretty soon if he hasn't already.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but he plays our Christmas party, and we love Rock and Randall and his wife. They're awesome. Awesome. Okay. Oh, let's see. And you guys keep dropping in questions. And, I see Wade Cross is there. Oh, Terry's here. He says, hey, folks. Terry Thedford, your buddy from Australia. You guys raced together in Australia. Yeah. Wade Cross is here. Wade was on Roy Bain's show this week on Thursday night. He's calling us rock stars.
Shit.
Wade's the rock star. He's awesome with shocks, for sure. Lyle says, Steve, you're not going anywhere until you finish that beer. Terry says, Terry does have a question. He says, so Steve, how much does a motel room door cost? Is it story time with Steve?
It's, I would say probably not one of my best nights or Terry's best nights or Bert's best nights in Australia.
I think I actually know this story.
The night we destroyed a hotel room, and there was 5 hotels in this town. We got kicked out of our hotel room.
Oh, that one.
And then the owner of the hotel called all the other hotels and told them not to let us in. And we were there to race, and we were going to be there for, God, I think 3 or 4 more days at least.
Oh, wow.
There was random women involved. There was pools and hot tubs and tons of, 3 bottles of Jack Daniels and a case of beer, and it was one of them nights.
Is it possible that alcohol may have been involved?
That was the lead cause to everything that happened that night, trust me.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
Well, the bad part about it is the guy who owned the hotel was also the guy that got us there to go race. So, there was that factor too.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Terrible. Danny says we're awesome doing what we do for racers. Well, thank you so much, Danny. Appreciate that. Jeff says, hey guys, from On the Bars. Awesome. Great. I don't know as much about On the Bars. I need to do a little bit of, I'll have to check it out for sure. All right. Earl has a question. He says, on a stock 602, how much oil should we be running? Should we be in synchronous or like do the same thing at the same time?
No, just seven quarts is what we run on them.
Okay.
Same as the 604s.
I know, but it was.
I mean, the actual true correct level is 6 3/4 quarts total in the system.
Yeah.
But we use 7 just because who wants a quarter of a quart of oil laying around? And it doesn't seem to make a difference.
No. Well, yeah, I had a thought there, but I just disappeared from me. And I'm drinking water. So, I don't even have an excuse. Although, we just went to a kid's birthday party, your kid's birthday party, and I had cake and ice cream, which I shouldn't have eaten, but now I'm on a sugar high right now.
I did not have cake and ice cream.
I know, but, if you're going to have a cheat day, you might as well go all out, you know?
There's that.
I know. So with the 7 quarts, you did mention something that was really important. You said 7 quarts total in the system, because I do get that question a lot. Well, what about another quart in the filter? No, we don't need another quart in the filter. Just 7 quarts.
I mean, it's
total.
7 quarts total, or 6 in the pan, 1 in the filter.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, any way you want to put it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Gary says, please keep a good friend of mine in your thoughts. Dean is his name, and he has a modified. Certainly will. So I'm sending my best wishes his way. Roy says, story time with Steve has a running theme. Yeah, at some point I'm gonna have to get one of those I have a mixer board, but I'm gonna have to get this other tricked out one, because I'm a sucker for electronics. You guys have no idea. I'm a sucker for electronics. And there's this other podcaster creator, and he's got some really cool tools and toys, and I might have to do that. Especially when we go to StreamYard, you have nerd stuff, but then I'd be able to have sound effects. And so if it was story time, I could play a little theme. They'd be like, story time with Steve, something like that. And Terry says, yeah, for sure. Jeff says, YouTube from Southeast Ohio, 602 Crate, UMP modified, and other racers. Oh, okay, great. So that's up on the bars, or on the bars. Lyle says he pleads the fifth on Steve's story time back in California.
Lyle's drink cart. That's one time I'll never forget, but I actually forgot what happened that night. But I'll never forget the effects of the next day.
Steve had a blackout.
I remember up to the point of saying, hearing Lyle's got a drink cart. We're doing Lyle's room. And that's the last thing I remember. There's some photos floating around somewhere of this particular story.
Yeah. It was interesting because that was probably before digital cameras too.
It was.
So they're literally pictures. Nathan says you're one of the top 5 most interesting men he's ever met. Nathan Martin.
International man of mystery.
You are. You are. All right, Ryan says, hello from Southwest Virginia. Still looking for info on how to get me a Hendren shirt. This Mick Ultra is for y'all. Let's talk a little bit about low drag brakes. Interesting. So first of all, Hendren shirt, you know, hey, Slacker, you need to get shirts made.
You said you were
we just have
shirts
large.
made.
No, I didn't. So.
You said you were getting shirts made.
No, I didn't.
You better call your brother.
Yeah. Well, he will fit us in somewhere sometime.
He's like me right now. He'll fit us in at some point. He is
way overwhelmed right now. I mean, Jimmy is so busy. If anybody doesn't know, Jimmy Schultz from Dirt Rap is my brother, and he took over my dad's. My dad had the t-shirt business, and then my brother put that into his mix as well. Yeah. So he's getting some help though. So he has a new employee starting out, so they're gonna, you know, hopefully be able to ramp up production on all the things. Low drag brakes.
I mean, there's nothing I know a whole lot about it. I assume by low drag you're talking like the PFCs like we got on our car.
Either PFCs or stop techs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have stop techs soon. I mean, actually, there's a whole. Yeah. I have enough for like one wheel, one for a modified, and one for a late model up in my office right now.
It's basically calipers that actually release and they don't bind and they don't twist and stuff like that. So.
Well, we learned a lot about brakes. Tell you who's absolutely an expert on brakes is Ben Baker.
Yep.
Ben Baker is just phenomenal. He's so knowledgeable about different things. He works at AFCO, but you know, he sees all kinds of different stuff. And all three of the chassis seminars that I went to this year, of course, one was for crate late models, and one was for metric stock cars, and the third was for the IMCA stock cars. But in all three, I mean, obviously the brakes are different from each of those. If you haven't already, I would definitely strongly encourage you to check out the Race Logic chassis schools. I'm going to drop in a comment here with a link to the website because, I mean, you were there, Steve. You were there. You did a short segment on engines because it was really more about... It was really more about the chassis pieces, but I mean, you know, even though you've been in the business for like your whole life, did you come up with?
Yeah,
did you come away with a couple of things that were new to you?
Plenty of stuff I learned that was either new, not necessarily new, but maybe better explained to me than what I've heard before in the past.
Yeah, and one thing that's really interesting about brakes is a lot of times we want to have like the most tricked out each piece of the brakes, but one thing that's important, or from what I learned from Ben, and I hope I'm not like speaking wrong here, but that there needs to be one thing that's the weakest thing, because there's got to be something that's going to give. Otherwise, that's going to be a problem.
Well,
so whether it's a rotor,
meaning either the rotor or the pads.
Rotor or pads, yeah. One or the other one has to have a little bit of a give to it. So whether you want to go through rotors or you want to go through pads, it's on you. Choice. But there has to be a built-in failure point on purpose to give you the best performance. And Chris says, hey guys, I hope y'all are doing well, thinking about coming out of retirement. What about a Hendren power plant, a 604? Chris Cheek.
Oh yeah, Chris. Yeah, I mean, wouldn't be a problem to do one for you. The problem is getting one right now. So GM's got them on back order until I'm here in mid-April, but you know, if say mid-April, that means May from GM half the time.
Well, from anybody.
Yeah.
You know, just really from anybody.
Yeah.
Because all they can do is, like, when I say that something is 3 weeks out, I'm relying on my supplier to tell me that. A lot of times my supplier is waiting on materials from somewhere farther up the line, you know, like steel. Steel has been not only more expensive, but it's been hard to get.
One major, like, I had like a couple major themes this week, it seemed like, for phone calls. One of them was like, you know, guys call up and, hey, I just sold my car with my 604 in it and I need a new engine.
I've had 2 of those calls.
Sorry, dude. Oh, no. Yeah. You know, panic mode.
Yep, I've had 2 of those this week as well.
Yeah.
I felt terrible, but there was not a darn thing I could do.
Two or three of calls that I got like that. And I was like, well, you better get a 602 if you want to race.
Well, that for now anyway.
Yeah.
And then until those are gone.
Until those are gone. Yeah.
It'll be the deferred. Terry wants one of your shirts. Oh yeah, well, here's one of mine. One of my new Crate Insider. Well, you've got the hoodie. I'm gonna get hoodies made next time, but that'll be after Bristol because you know Bristol is crazy. Okay.
Oh yeah, you're going to that show.
I am. I'm going to be there from the 15th to the 20th. That's my plan. So, hopefully I get my van back this week. And I don't know if my brother's just going to surprise me with some magic wrap that's going to be on the van, or if I'm going to see a proof. I don't know. So
he's down there driving that thing around.
Yeah. Well, I could check. I have an app. Like, the new van has an app. So it actually sent me a text message one day like, hey, your tire pressure's low. It's cool. I like it. I never thought. I mean, I don't know. I was never a soccer mom, but I'm always kind of feeling giddy about my van. But I'm giddy about my van that's going to have wheels in it and race car parts, of all things. All right, Ken says, we'll be running a 300-lap race later in the year with a 602. Would an oil cooler be needed with a 300-lap race?
300 laps? I mean, obviously, not if you can keep the engine cool. If cooling is going to be an issue, then oil cooler would definitely help.
Yeah.
I rarely recommend oil cooler, but something in that. I mean, if you think you're going to have a cooling issue of any sort, then oil cooler would help the situation.
Good deal. Danny says, your thoughts on brake bias and chassis setup? Yeah, that was like a whole 2-day class.
Yeah.
It really was. I tried to drop the link in, but it didn't. It kind of messed up and just had like words, so that didn't really help me. So I'm gonna actually drop the link in for the Crate Late Model class, and and
then you can also find the other classes there too, right?
Oh yeah, they're all right there. But I'm just gonna drop this in because seriously, this information here was phenomenal. I don't know. Siri thinks I'm talking to her. Come on, stop it, Siri. All right. Okay, so chassis setup, when we did that for 2 days, because the thing is, like, it's one of my personal phrases, is that I say in life there are multiple right answers, and there are clearly some that are completely wrong, but there are multiple right answers. And with chassis setup, it's a multiple right answers, and it's also a very specific, the right answer for you is not going to be the same right answer for someone else.
Guy, no.
And it's
there's no magic.
There's no magic, but it's a lot of trying some different things, and starting with your baseline.
Well, the main thing is test. Mm-hmm. If you have the capability of renting a track and testing all the time, do it.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that at the school too.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that we talk about here on the show are things that are far more in depth when we
you're
gonna school, because you're not really a chassis guy.
No, you're gonna be hard.
I'm certainly not a chassis girl. So
you're gonna be hard pressed to be a Saturday night racer who only races on Saturday nights to compete with somebody who's testing 3 nights a week, and then racing on Saturday.
Yeah. Brett's got a great question. Steve, why do you not recommend using an oil cooler in general?
Just because I don't think it's needed is one reason. Because the oils nowadays are so good that I don't think it's something that's necessary. Number 2, the second reason would be because anytime you add lines, you're going to add the cooler, you're going to add the lines, some sort of either external or sandwich style filter adapter thing. Once you start adding that stuff, you're going to drop about 5 to 7 pounds of oil pressure in a 604, for instance. And once you do that, lifter bleed down is already an issue with them, so you need about as much oil pressure as you can get legally.
Yeah, and your oil pump is internal in the engine, and so there's not anything you can do with it. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, you can't. Years ago, some of the Crate series allowed you to change springs in the pumps, but that's not legal now, so
yeah,
you still have to run the factory spring.
Gotcha.
Relief valve spring.
Okay. So it's just, this is a determining point, and there's not like you can just buy a stronger oil pump. You'd have to buy another oil pump.
Well, no, you can't. You have to run the pump that is specified for the engine.
Gotcha. Didn't know if you could have a second one. Which would you have to get adding another piece of equipment?
You can't add a second oil pump.
I don't know.
Where the fuck did that come from?
I don't know. I make these things up. Hey.
You're commentating on engines. We need to tone that down a little bit.
No, but it was really, my question was, I thought the oil pump was inside of the oil pan, which means it's something that a racer can't touch.
No.
So, it's really interesting. Okay, Jeff says, I came across a 604 engine of yours to start my son in a modified. Anything to do special to make it last?
Maintenance, change the oil, change valve springs.
Spark plugs.
Spark plugs.
Wires once a year.
Go on my Facebook page, look at my recommendation sheet.
Or you can go to Crate Insider in the tech articles, and it's one of the very top ones.
I don't have the 2021 version released, but it won't be much difference from 2020.
I didn't do one in 2020. I have 2019. But it's the same thing.
Well, if you go on my Facebook page, Hendren Racing Engines Facebook page has 2020.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I think next time...
And that honestly explains everything.
Yeah.
So, if you have questions beyond that, I'll be happy to answer them.
Well, I've got 2 or 3 of the videos from the years, like maybe 19, 18, maybe 17. I can't remember if I did 2 or 3, but I do need to do one. Maybe we do it together for 2021.
Yeah, when we have time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, we've both been covered up with different things. Okay, Brad says, what is the optimal temperature for a 602, and can it run too cool?
Yeah, it can run too cool. Normally peak power, you're going to produce peak power around 180 to 200 water temperature, which will usually leave your oil temperature around 220 or so. So that's usually where your peak power is going to be at.
Peak power is at 220 degree oil?
180 to 200 degree water temperature.
Okay.
Which your oil temperature almost always runs 20 to 40 degrees hotter.
Okay. Well, that's just a good rule of thumb. I didn't know that. I've probably heard you say it, but maybe I just like hearing you talk. Okay. Let's see. JR says, have you ever used Turbo Boost oil additive?
No.
Now, the oil additive that we really like is...
What's it supposed to do?
I guess a turbo boost. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we like the XL1 engine treatment from Daytona 1. Steve did not finish my sentence, so I'm just going to finish it my damn self. Yeah. So I don't know. JR, you're welcome to drop in here and let us know what Turbo Boost oil additive is supposed to do, and we can respond to that. Hadn't heard of that one.
No, haven't heard of that.
No. I mean, you've heard of lots of them. I'm sure you've tested lots of them. We just don't talk about them if they're not going to help our customers. We don't find, neither one of us like get out there and throw other companies under the bus. They're all working at their hardest, and maybe it's going to be a great application for something else. It just doesn't work for ours. So we don't want to bash anybody, and we just don't say anything. That's our response. We just don't. We're just like full on radio silence on that particular thing. Yeah. Well, anyway, keep asking questions, you guys.
Or not, so we can be done now.
My goodness.
I'm cold now.
Oh, you're cold?
Yeah.
I know. Last week you were like, we should have gone outside after I got the equipment set up, and then this week you're like, yeah. Well, I mean, we've been on for like 30 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm good.
but I feel like there's just so much Steve words of wisdom to be shared with the world today.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm feeling really lucky that right now it's super quiet outside, because like as I was setting up the equipment, there was a dog barking in the neighborhood. Then the air conditioner kicked on, or heater, or whatever it happens to be doing this time here. Oh, let me see here. Danny says, reading a spark plug, what is the optimal color and rings that you look for?
Honestly, man, if you look on like NGK's website or any of those sites, they've got pictures of that stuff, and they can tell you better than I can.
Now, you have a really good tip, though, about spark plugs and not using a Sharpie.
Oh, yeah, but that has nothing to do with reading the plug.
No, I know, but it was like a whole nother topic. And
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of that has to do with what kind of fuel you're using, whether it's leaded, unleaded, E85 methanol. I mean, there's just so many variables to it. It's not anything I can explain here, so you're better off reading about it on a website like NGK's or Champions or Autolites. I'm sure they got information on that.
Yeah, well, on that topic, there was just like, don't use a Sharpie on your spark plug.
Don't use a black Sharpie.
Yeah.
People with index plugs use a black Sharpie, and black ink is made from carbon. Carbon's conductive, so if you use a black Sharpie, you can usually see the damn spark go down the Sharpie mark at night.
Yeah, I see, and I feel like that's a really valuable tip. Okay, definitely. Oh, Roy mentions that you sure make him uncomfortable on camera. Aw, why? Do you not feel comfortable? You're perfectly fine on camera. Okay. All right, Michael says, hey, Steve, on a fast distributor, where does the red and black wires go to?
Like on the 3-prong plug?
I don't know, because they're all weather pack plugs now.
Yeah, it's all weather pack stuff.
And I have harnesses now.
And it's a plug and play unit, usually.
Yeah.
I mean, one would assume red and black's positive, negative, but I don't know. I'd have to look at the wiring diagram.
Yeah. Next, JR says, does indexing plugs make a horsepower difference?
It does not. No, I'm not on these.
Not on 6-4s. Oh, Terry said that you look like a deer in the headlights. Michael in his wiring says 4-plug.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look at a wiring diagram.
Yeah, it should come with a wiring diagram. I'll have to see if there's... Yeah.
I don't wire a whole lot of race cars, so...
Yeah, that's more of your brother's deal. Yeah, that's like your brother's deal, not your deal so much. You're not the wiring guy.
No, I'm no electrical genius by any means.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, anytime I've done electrical, I just match the colors. That's all. Unless there's extra pieces, and then I don't really know what to do with that. I don't know, if you ever put together IKEA furniture, you end up with a bunch of extra pieces.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. Well, I think, it is getting pretty chilly out here, so I think we're going to go ahead and cut it up. Cut it short here a little bit. We got lots of great questions in today. Lots of great questions. Any final thoughts, Steve?
Nope. Not today.
Okay.
I'm ready to go to bed, I can tell you that. I'm tired as shit.
My goodness. Okay, there is one more question. Would you change valve springs in a crate motor that has been sitting for 3 years?
Yes.
Hell yes. Hell yes. Jerry's joining us from Yakima, Washington. And Lyle says your beer's done. So yeah, the show's over. So yeah, I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you for being part of the show. If you're catching us late or if you're watching the replay, this replay will be over on YouTube on the Crate Insider channel, or you can hear it as an audio over on RacingInsidersPodcast.com or Racing Insiders Podcast on any of the popular podcasting platforms. And so I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for being part of the show. And we'll be back next Sunday. Yeah, we will be. It'll be the day before I leave for Bristol. So that'll be fun. It'll be the Bristol preview show.
Yep. I
guess. I don't know. That's what I'm just calling it that. But, if you do have questions, you don't think you're going to be able to make the show, feel free to send a private message or an email. And I will write them down on my trusty little note cards. And I will grill Steve when we have our next show.
There you go.
So thank you so much, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.